if someone just picked, a few dandelion leaves and popped them in their salad, or decorated a cake with some calendula petals, or felt like a cup of tea and they went, I'm just going to go and pick some mint or some lemon balm from my garden. I think that's just a really nice way to bring herbs and plants into your everyday life.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Care with Herbs segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I'm your host, Jess Bosker, naturopath, herbalist and medicine maker. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Banjalang people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Now, come along and join me each month for beautiful conversations with guests from across the country, exploring ways we can weave plant medicine into our days to enrich our experience of self-care, sharing routines, rituals and recipes for elevating mind, body and spirit. Come and revisit this episode with one of our favourites. We're going all the way back to episode 16 with herbalist, forager, gardener, tea blender and drinker and published author Caroline Parker. During this chat, we get a sense of Caroline's deep love and connection with plants and her joy at helping share that love with others. Since our chat, Caroline has released her beautiful book, The Medicinal Garden, which is the most gorgeous educational companion for helping us to connect with the healing properties of herbs. In her book, Caroline shows us that the sowing and growing of herbs can be the beginning of the healing journey, which continues with the gathering of leaves, flowers and roots for tea, baking and medicine. During this chat, Caroline shares some of her escapades in the garden and also a beautiful, nourishing self-care ritual using some lovely herbs. I can't wait for you to tune back into this one. Welcome, Caroline.
Hey Jess, how are you going?
Well, thank you. I've been so looking forward to this chat. I've been looking forward to it for so long.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to finally be chatting with you.
It is. It's really great. I've really admired your connection with the plants for a long time, Caroline. I know you work with them in many different ways, and I'm really looking forward to delving into that with you today.
Excellent. And the feeling is entirely mutual. I love looking at what you've been up to first thing in the morning and seeing your little introduction to the day.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you. So the first question we're going to dive straight into really asks you to take your mind back to how your relationship with plant medicine began. You know, how did that happen for you?
That is a big one.
It is.
There's quite a few points that plants and I guess herbal medicine has come into my life. A big memory of mine as a suburban kid growing up in the 80s and 90s was I would be heading to the local nursery on weekends with my mum and dad. My mum's a very keen gardener. And I always found it really exciting to, spend the Saturday we'd kind of go out to the nursery and look around, and Mum would always let me come home with like a seedling or a packet of seeds. So I'd say that kind of was one of my first points into getting into gardening.
Really young.
Yeah. And then I think I might have been, from that, I got into kitchen herbs and really loved learning how to cook. And so I'd start to buy kind of kitchen herb seedlings, and then that kind of moved into next to the kitchen herbs where there was a little section that had, a few medicinal ones. So I think I came home with valerian. And the part of the garden I had, it wasn't a garden bed, but I had like a patio and I'd have little pots of different herbs. And so I'd planted valerian, didn't really know much about it, but I think I'd kind of would look up books at home and the little tag that was on the seedling, and I was like, oh, this is valerian, it's good for sleep. I'm going to grow some and I'm going to make some tea out of it. And I can remember, I don't even know where I learnt this, but I can remember that, you know, in my mind, to dry herbs, you had to get a bunch and you tie a bit of string around it and hang it upside down in a brown paper bag. So I did that and I put it in my wardrobe. And so the valerians dried out, and then one day my mum comes along to me and she's like, what has died in your closet?
Oh.
So for those of you that know valerian, it can be a bit of a stinky herb
on the nose.
When it's dried, it's like sweaty, smelly socks to some people, and that's obviously how my mum interpreted it. And that's a really strong memory for me. And I think around that age, I must have been chatting to friends about it. So I think for my 12th or 13th birthday, someone gave me a herbal medicine encyclopedia. Lauren Matthews, thank you very much. I've still got it. It's still one of my favourite books, and it just went from there. But I didn't know what a herbalist was, or a naturopath, or anything like that. It was just an interest of mine. Yeah.
And what was it about valerian that drew you? Was it just that it was available, or was there a connection?
I'd probably say it was just because it was available, and it was a pretty looking herb, and no particular reason. It just caught my eye. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's a good story. I think my mum still remembers it.
It is. Yeah. And so that was when you were still living at home as a kid, and how did it evolve from there?
So I think in high school, I was doing a business studies class, and I can remember in the 90s, everyone was, I can remember when infused vinegars were big. And so I decided that I'd make herbal infused vinegars for people as my business studies kind of project, and I made a little business called Back to Nature or something like that, and I used little gum leaves as the tag.
How gorgeous.
So I've kind of always been doing it, but I didn't know what it was.
Didn't really know that there was. Yeah.
No.
That's so interesting.
And then I think from high school, I went to a private high school, and we had, this is kind of doing a bit of a segue. We had a religious studies class, and my teacher taught us meditation. So in my late teens and early 20s, I was really into meditation and qigong and things like that. And then that kind of led me into an interest in Chinese medicine. And then one day in my mid-20s just went, I finally know what I want to go and study after being an art school dropout. I'll go and study Chinese medicine. But where I lived, they didn't offer any of those classes, and they went, well, how about you study naturopathy and you'll get to learn a bit of everything.
Yes.
So that's kind of it in a quick nutshell.
Yeah. Beautiful. And now, you've evolved even further to your beautiful tea business.
Yeah, so I mean, besides being really into gardening and growing my own little plants as a kid, I come from a very English family and Scottish family, and I've been making tea since Mum trusted me with the kettle. So
beautiful.
I said that, she's like, that's what you have kids for, so they can make you a cup of tea in the weekend. Yeah.
And did you introduce the family to herbal teas, or at that point was it mostly black tea?
As a kid, it was, good old English breakfast tea. And then as I got older, I think the first herbal tea I had at my auntie's house was like a green jasmine tea, and then peppermint tea, and And then,
beautiful.
yeah, perhaps that's what kind of got me interested in picking those valerian herbs. Maybe I'd seen a sleepy tea or something like that. Yeah.
And always that sense of reverence around a cup of tea from really young.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So, you know, tea is a daily ritual in our family. You know, I live interstate from my parents, and quite often I'll call them up in the morning, and Dad will answer the phone, and I was like, "What are you up to?" And he's like, "I'm just making a cup of tea for your mum." And I think that ritual,
that's beautiful.
yeah, that ritual's kind of carried over into my adult life. So my husband and I, whoever's awake early, it's the first thing you do is get up, put water in the kettle, put the kettle on, and your job is to make a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know you're also a really keen forager.
Yeah, that kind of happened. I guess we moved from, you know, the centre. We were living in an apartment in the city centre about 10, 11 years ago. We moved out here to central Victoria. I've got a little cottage on half an acre surrounded by wombat forest, and we're kind of on a little bit of altitude. So as I kind of came to know the region, and I was still finishing up my studies, and I started to notice, you know, a few of the plants that, you know, I was studying were growing around here. So yeah, it kind of started off in your backyard. So I've got, you know, common weeds like plantain and dandelion, and mallow, and then it kind of grew out from there. So I was seeing things like elder was probably one of the first ones that I noticed. So we've got lots of hedgerows with elder, and then from elder I found hawthorn out here, and then I found yarrow, and that just, it kind of grew from there. I was so excited to go from, you know, I guess a textbook-based knowledge of herbs to actually like seeing them out in the wild, which is pretty special.
Knowing them a lot more deeply.
Yeah. And definitely like the seasons. I think, you know, we live in quite a region that, you know, there's definite that spring, summer, autumn, winter, plus a few extra seasons, and it plays a big part in your life up here.
And with those first initial forays into foraging, were you merely recognising the herbs, or were you actually gathering and starting to use?
A bit of both. So, yeah, I think with elder, I can definitely remember elder because I think in my first herbal preparation class, I have a strong memory of our lecturer. One of the first tinctures he got us to try was elderberry, and that's a great one because it's delicious, and it's like, if this is medicine, I'm here for this, and so I was so excited to find that, and I think lots of people up here are foragers and into using what they grow in their backyard and then what they can find, and I knew people had been making elderberry syrup, and so I had to wait until it was the right season, and that was one of the first things I made.
And what a beautiful addition to your studies. You know, that's often not a big part of formal studies, that really getting to know a plant so well and using it and being confident to have a play around. So great that you were able to do that while still studying.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky to, kind of go, like I think said before, from textbooks to, you know, tangible in my hands experience.
And so following on from your studies and that experience with foraging, did you jump straight into your beautiful teas, or was there a different path down with the plants in that time?
So from studying, I did a little bit of clinical practice, but then how did I get into tea? I guess I've always had, a tea cupboard that's bursting at the seams, and I guess from my studies,
yes.
I started having access to, dried product that I wouldn't normally be able to get from the supermarket. So I started having a play around, and I think some of my clients I prescribed tea for, so in a stronger kind of medicinal dose, and they came back and they went, I actually really like this tea. Could you make something up as a gift for someone? And that's kind of, I think that's where it started. I just started making more and more, and then I'd be like, oh, this is a really nice blend, and I'd keep a big jar of it and gift that to people, and then they'd be like, oh, that was really nice. I'd like to give some to someone else, and it kind of went on from that.
And with your foraging and being able to access the herbs in the wild, did that then flow over to bringing in some herbs into a garden, or did you already have that happening at the same time?
I think when I first moved up here, we're really lucky. We've got forest on all three sides, so it's an old miner's cottage, and it didn't actually have much of an established garden, but it had lots of big old trees and a big lawn area. So we've slowly kind of been adding a garden into that, and I'd say it's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that we've really settled with how we'd like our garden to be. And then during lockdown, I was doing some tea deliveries, and I think most of us here in Victoria were dreaming of escape, and I was like, okay, I want a big property in the sunshine, and I'm going to grow herbs and live outside and all of this. And I was chatting to a customer of mine about my daydream, and I think it was a particularly grey and rainy and miserable day, and she was a flower farmer. I think she was having, in the middle of homeschooling and getting inundated with weeds and that. And I think later on that day, after I told her my daydream, she called back and went, I've got a proposition for you. You don't need to go and buy a big block of land in the sunshine. I've already got one. So how about we do a labour exchange? So you can come and help me, wrangle my flower farm back into shape, and in exchange for that you can have some space to start growing your own herbs. And it's just been this beautiful exchange over the last 2 years of helping each other out, and we're both learning together, and it's been really great.
What an opportunity. That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that's unfolded? Because I've really enjoyed watching that process, and I'm sure the listeners would love to hear about
thanks. It. Well, I kind of feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, and I just go and do it. So it's like I just go, I think I'd really like to grow some echinacea, and so I'll just do a bit of reading on it and wait till the right season, and off we go. And so I'm kind of winging it, but it's working out okay.
What was the first herb that you planted over at Pennyweight?
I had 3. So I planted calendulas. So we tried to pick herbs that both of us can use. So that Lucy at Pennyweight Farm, she can use in her floral arrangements and selling to her flower customers, and ones that I could use as, you know, beautiful botanicals in a few of my tea blends. So I was like, well, I use lots of calendula. It's pretty easy to grow. So we had seeds to collect from a spot that was already growing them. So I collected those and prepped an area and planted some of that. And then I thought, I'm going to grow some cornflowers, another beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I love them, that blue. And I didn't have my glasses on the day I was planting cornflowers. And I accidentally planted coneflowers, which is echinacea.
I love this story.
It's my so it's also why it kind of pointed out to me why it's good to look at Latin names of things as well.
Yes, the lecturers were onto something.
Yeah. So I I read the packet wrong, and I thought I was planting a row of cornflowers. I was just going, geez, these are taking a long time, and they started to come up, and I'm like, they don't really look like cornflowers. And Lucy was like, no, they don't look like cornflower seedlings. And then so I pulled out the packets of seeds that I'd planted, and I went, oh my gosh, I've planted coneflowers. So even now I'm tripping over them. So I have, it's called my my accidental echinacea patch.
And did they thrive?
Yes. So
good.
Which worked out well, because I wasn't sure if it was the right time to plant them, or what special kind of things you need to do to the seeds. And probably like a third of the patch popped up, and we're 2 years into that patch, and there's lots of it's self-seeded in between, and
great.
It's going great guns. So I'm very excited. I think I'll be harvesting some of that this year.
And what others have you got in at the moment?
The other one that I started with was California poppy.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's another easy one to grow, and I think Lucy kind of love-hates me for it, because it's another one that's a prolific self-seeder. And one day when I might leave the farm, I'll always be there with the California poppy that's spread everywhere.
Your beautiful legacy.
Yeah, that's my legacy to Pennyweight Farm. You're welcome, Lucy.
Oh, gorgeous. And I can just picture that beautiful field with the golden calendulas and the purple echinacea and the gorgeous Californian poppies.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's beautiful.
And are you at the point now where you're both able to harvest and use some of the herbs?
So I've been harvesting the poppy and the calendulas, and I actually did end up planting cornflowers, so we've been harvesting those. Lucy and I have had a few, life tumbles this last year, so we're taking things a bit slow at the farm this season. Yes. So we're getting in some good groundwork for seasons to come. So we're just planting things from seeds and making new paths and dreaming big dreams of how it's going to be.
Yeah, and what amazing learning you've had through all of that.
Yeah, we want to make it that it's a place that we can share with other people. So I don't know, I imagine people being able to come and visit and help me with some weeding and planting and harvesting and processing and getting outside and sharing that.
And really getting nice and close with the herbs.
Yeah. That's what I'd really like to share with people.
Beautiful. So Caroline, spending time on the farm and running a business, and I know you also run workshops, there's a lot on your plate, and I imagine that self-care becomes quite important at different times, and I was wondering what self-care means to you.
Self-care. It's a daily thing. I think when you say the word self-care, like my mind kind of pops up people running luxurious baths and spending money to go out on, beauty retreats, getting facials and, things like that. But to me, it's not something that you can kind of buy or has been commodified. It's those daily things that you do.
Yes. Yeah, and not just as something special.
Yeah, not kind of like a reward for working hard.
I love that.
Yeah, it's something that I kind of need, like you were saying, I kind of need to do to keep going. But
yeah, daily.
Yeah, it would be an example would be the the first person up in the morning makes the cup of tea.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Really lovely. And during those really busy times, like I imagine on the farm, there's particular times of the year that are, really labour intensive, or other times when you've got lots on it at once. What whispers do you start to hear from your body when self-care is most needed?
For me, I feel like I can be like a really energetic social person, but on the flip side, I need a lot of time to myself and kind of hobbiting away in the forest. And if I don't have that balance, I start to get a bit grumpy. And when I was younger, if I hadn't kind of been looking after myself, I used to get, every kind of cold or flu that was going around.
Yeah. I think both of those are really quite common signs. The emotions start to get a little bit wobbly, and then, we might start to feel a little bit stressed, and then that immune system starts to drop and we feel ourselves starting to pick everything up that's going around. And it's hard to break, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I feel like those, colds or flu, it was just like, okay, you haven't taken time out for yourself, so we're going to make you take time out for yourself because you've got a cold, so you need to stay in bed and rest.
Yes. It's those whispers starting to get a little bit louder and maybe becoming shouts.
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know, I might be a bit guilty of sometimes not listening to those whispers, and I have been shouted at a fair few times.
Yes.
In my life. I think most recently what did I do? I had an ankle injury that put me out of action for a few months, and that was a definite shout to just slow down and stop.
Yes, your body gave you no other option.
That was it. It was like just you are having some literal downtime.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about, the importance of that beautiful reverence and ritual around tea. What other sorts of rituals and routines do you tend to weave into your days when it comes to plants and self-care?
For me, it would be walking in the forest. Like that's almost like a non-negotiable in my life now, having some outdoors or nature time. And I think that's definitely been reinforced.
The Wombat Forest sounds like a really special place. Is there a way that you could share that with us? Can you give us a bit of an idea of what a walk through the Wombat Forest feels and looks like?
Well, around my house, it used to be... The Wombat Forest has gone through lots of transformation, I guess, since white settlers have been here. So in the gold rush, it pretty much was completely deforested. So, it's regrown since then. And then post gold rush, it was it supported the timber industry. So the trees that are there now are fairly new, but it's still a really special forest. It just kind of reminds me that nature always wins, and the resilience of it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so there's lots of tracks around my house. So I take my dog with me, and we just go at her pace. She's a bit older now, so it's definitely like a slow walk through the forest, which just helps you start to kind of really connect and observe. The smell is beautiful. I think there's some parts of the forest I could close my eyes and tell you where I am by the way it smells.
Wow.
I'm just sort of shutting my eyes now thinking about it.
That's really special.
Yeah. Like I'm looking out my window at the moment, and we're having some unseasonal winter weather in late spring, and everything is just like lush and green. There's moss growing on trees because the air is so beautiful up here, and lichen, and there's a mist rolling in. So it's very lush and green. It's beautiful.
And when the weather prevents you from, undertaking that beautiful walk, or when you are injured, are there any other rituals or routines that you lean into at those times?
We built ourselves a fire bath in our backyard. So
beautiful.
Sometimes after, a big day at the farm, or, weather permitting, I'll come home and Leon has, prepared a fire bath for me. So we usually do that kind of in the evening, so it's dark and we have, the Milky Way over us, and I just lay in the bath and listen to the owls and the koalas and the foxes and lie back and do that. So that's not an all the time thing, but it's just like a pretty special every now and then self-care thing.
Sounds beautiful. Yeah, that sounds really beautiful. Really nice.
Yeah, because we don't have a bath in our house. It's like a tiny little miner's cottage. So yeah, we made one outside.
Yeah, that sounds great. Really good. And when you're able to lean into those rituals, you're able to spend that beautiful time in the Wombat Forest and having that time amongst nature, and, sometimes a beautiful fire bath, what sorts of benefits do you start to see in yourself when those things happen?
So for me, it makes me just feel like a real sense of calm and groundedness. I think sometimes I can be a person that leans towards feeling like a bit anxious sometimes, and I am, often thinking about the future, or what about this, and I've got lots of different projects happening. I'm not very good at sitting still. But hence walking in the forest is a good kind of downtime for me. It's still being active, but it's nice and calming. So yeah, definite kind of calm, grounding, and then connection is really important.
And that sense of presence.
Yeah. I feel like
beautiful.
I can kind of take on whatever comes my way when I've, been paying attention to looking after myself and making sure I take those moments in my day-to-day.
Clears the head, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
We've talked a little bit about, some of the rituals and recipes that you love to use for self-care. Do you have a specific recipe or ritual or routine using plant medicine for self-care that you could share with us?
I do. So besides tea, I'm a bit obsessed. One that I found since working at the farm and also it ties into foraging. Probably about 40 minutes from where I live is a lovely spot that has lots of St. John's wort, and we gathered some and we turned it into a beautiful infused oil, and it goes from the yellow flowers, this beautiful red vibrant oil. And St. John's wort oil is, to me, really kind of calming and grounding and helping out with frazzled kind of nervous systems. So a ritual for me that I've always got a bottle of that in my bathroom, and at the end of the day after a shower, I really love to do a bit of self-massage. So, like on my arms, and quite often I'll just really concentrate on your ears. You've got lots of these beautiful acupressure points in your ears, and using this St. John's wort oils just kind of brings you back into the now and calming and grounding, ready to kind of go and rest and finish the day. Yeah, it's kind of like a little gift to yourself, to say thank you for working so hard for me today. Thank you, body.
That's beautiful. I think that's a really lovely one that could be adapted to many different herbs. Do you mind sharing how you made your infused oil?
So that one I just have like a glass jar, and I probably fill the jar with the aerial parts of the St. John's that I've kind of roughly chopped up. And because I'm a bit slow sometimes, so it's probably sat on a drying rack for a day or two before I put it in the oil, so it's not too wet. And then I just pour some organic olive oil that I have, or you could use almond oil, or like a sesame oil is really nice, not the cooking one, but and top it up, and give it a stir, put the lid on, and I kind of leave it in a dark, up the top of a dark cupboard for about a month, and let that infuse. And then
it's magic.
Yeah. And then always kind of, I'm really naughty and don't label and date things. So sometimes at the back of my cupboard, I'm like, what is this? I mean, I can always tell it's St. John's wort oil, but it's always a good idea. Label and date things, people.
Yes.
And then I kind of will strain it through some cloth, and I pop it into just a little 200 ml dropper bottle, and I keep that in my bathroom.
Beautiful.
So it's easy and it's on hand.
I love that, and such an easy but nourishing ritual, using something that you've made yourself, and perhaps, if you're able, foraged yourself. Yeah, I mean, you could use other herbs. You could use like a lavender with, that smells nice. It's nice and relaxing. What else would be a good one? You could use roses. Even the calendula.
Calendula is lovely.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that, and I think that's one that would be an easy way for people who don't have a lot of experience making things from herbs to perhaps have an introduction and have a lovely product at the end that can be woven into their days. Yeah, and you could put that oil into a bath as well. Is another nice way to use it, with a bit of beautiful. Yeah. Before we finish up, Caroline, I know that you run many different sorts of workshops. Would you mind sharing with us some of those that you've run recently, and any that you have in the pipeline that you'd like to share? Okay, so I like to take people on little foraging walks, and they're kind of,
close to where I live, and sometimes they're for other businesses. So I do a really nice one that combines another favourite of mine, which is gin. I do a little gin botanicals foraging workshop for Mountain Distillery. And I've got, I do fire cider. So like at my home studio and in my home kitchen, I like to do lots of kind of what I call kitchen medicine. So, teaching people really easy and accessible things that they can do at home and incorporate into their everyday life. So I have actually this weekend I'm doing a fire cider making workshop. And I've got one coming up in Trentham called, it's like a garden tea, an afternoon tea. So we'll have a look in this beautiful garden at the estate Trentham and look at some of their kitchen herbs that are growing in the forager garden there, as well as some kind of common weeds that have popped up in the garden. And we kind of chat through those and then pick some and we make our own afternoon tea. And I usually bring along a few sweet treats that I've made using herbs and forage things. So, yeah, I try and kind of keep them accessible and things that people can easily do and seasonal as well.
They sound great. I really love your way of showing people how easy and rewarding it is to make herbs a part of daily life.
Yeah, it's like if I think a workshop I did earlier in the year, a lady came up to me afterwards and she said, I came along because a friend bought me a ticket, and I was like, oh yeah, not particularly interested in what I was doing. But at the end she came up and went, you've converted me. I really loved learning about herbs, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to plant a little tea garden added onto my veggie garden. And I just went, that's my job done.
Yes, isn't that amazing for someone who, really didn't have an interest and maybe had not ever been exposed to herbs and how wonderful they are, and now converted to wanting to plant their own herb garden.
Yeah. Or if someone just picked...
I love that.
If someone just picked, a few dandelion leaves and popped them in their salad, or decorated a cake with some calendula petals, or felt like a cup of tea and they went, I'm just going to go and pick some mint or some lemon balm from my garden. I think that's just a really nice way to bring herbs and plants into your everyday life.
And inviting them in, I guess, increases your sense of knowing and also noticing. The more that you use and recognise and love, the more that you'll see.
Yeah, now that I'm sitting here chatting with you, it's kind of like, that's what my introduction was. It was a cup of tea. It was picking a plant and turning it into a cup of tea. And now I'm kind of like, oh, wow, look what it unfolded in my life.
Yes, absolutely. Starting that cycle for others and weaving that web that, just continues to grow.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you so much for coming on. I really have enjoyed our chat, and your passion for herbs and their accessibility and the joy of bringing them into our lives has really shone through. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me, Jess. It's been really lovely.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you tuned into this episode of Self-Care with Herbs, a segment of the Elder Tree podcast. The Elder Tree is a non-profit dedicated to putting the medicine in the hands of the people through grassroots herbal education and earth skills, weaving a strong community of herbalists, healers and plant folk in Australia. If you'd like to dive a little deeper, you can head over to our Patreon, The Elder Tree Trove, to access special content from our podcast guests. I hope you found something in this episode that has inspired you to begin to lean into those plant allies and to experience your practice of self-care blossoming and blooming. I look forward to sharing more ways you can weave plant medicine into your days next month.